I certainly wish I could hear the voice of the shepherd, the voice of Christ, as clearly as I could hear my mother's voice. When we were growing up in the neighborhood, everybody was out and about in the neighborhood. And when it was time to go in at night, or when it was time to be called in for supper, you would begin to hear the voices of various mothers calling their children. And we all knew the voices, but we also knew the voice that we had to pay attention to. My brother and I knew my mother's voice, and we knew it well. And if you pretended not to hear the call, the other kids would say, "Your mom's calling." Like I didn't know that, you know. But they knew her voice too. But they weren't going to follow her voice. They knew it was for my brother and I to follow that voice. It was either time to come in because it's getting dark, or it was time to come in for supper. We knew the voice in the morning when we were called from sleep to be awake. You know your mother's voice. And you know it's a voice you need to heed and pay attention to. Clear as a bell. You know how to listen to that voice. But listening to the voice of Christ, listening to the voice of the Good Shepherd, is not nearly as clear and easy as it is to listen to your mother. How do we listen to Christ? How do we hear him speaking to us? Clearly, it's not coming from an exterior source that is speaking directly to you, like my mother spoke directly to us at pretty high volume. God doesn't speak to us that way. More likely, we're going to hear the voice of the Lord interiorly, in that place, that sacred place of conscience, that voice within us that we try to listen to and try to be led by. But it's not nearly as easy. I mean, many of us have been trying to listen to the voice of the Lord for quite a few decades. And I don't know if any of us could say beyond a shadow of a doubt that we know how to listen to the Lord. We're always searching. We're always trying to listen. It's just a struggle to know where we're actually being called. How is God calling me this day? Sometimes it does happen in prayer. And we just have a sense of this is what I'm supposed to do. Sometimes it comes through strangers who call on me in a moment, who calling forth from me an act of charity, or calling forth from me as part of my time to spend there. Sometimes it's a call to some kind of involvement in the parish life or the political life. We're listening. We never know where that call is going to come from. And I don't know if we can ever be absolutely sure it's the voice of the Good Shepherd. But we listen and we follow as best we can. Yesterday, our two parishes of St. Clement and St. Francis Seraph joined together in a dialogue. And I would say that was something of an experience of trying to listen to the voice of the shepherd calling our two Franciscan parishes into the future. Do we know what that future looks like? Absolutely not. But if we can believe that the one who's leading us is Christ, then we can go forth without too much fear. and trust that God is going to lead us into a good place, good pasture, like the good shepherd in the psalm. We listen as best we can. I'll say more about the meeting that we had on Saturday, for which many of you were present. And there'll be some follow-up to that as we continue this process of how we become a family, these two parishes becoming, in some sense, one. It's going to happen best if we're really listening to the voice of the one who is calling us. I wish I could help everybody hear the voice of God better. I spent some time last night with a young woman at the Engaged Encounter weekend who was trying to figure out, what's the Lord asking of me? Is this person that I'm with the one I'm supposed to marry? Can you help me? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You know, you pray, you listen. Listen deep in your own heart. Does this feel right? Is this where you think you want to be? It's just not as easy as my mother calling me home for supper. Just not that easy. And yet I want to trust the one who is the shepherd, the one who does care about us, this flock. So this morning we continue to listen as best we can. Where is God's call? The other part of this Sunday is a day of prayer for vocations. What's the call? Where am I being called now? Many of us have answered that call. But it's an ongoing call. Just because I answered the call to Franciscan life and priesthood doesn't mean it's the end of my calling. God must be continuing to call us to the next thing, the next step we take. If you've been called to the vocation of marriage, what's the next step in that vocation for the two of you to take? Whatever life we're leading, it's never a completed vocation. We're always trying to listen. Where might God be calling me? So we want to trust the one who is the Good Shepherd to lead us.